The internet has the reaction speed of this funny cat gif. It feels like something will come out, it will be universally hated, then 6 to 10 years later, everyone will just universally seems to agree, oh yeah, that thing was good actually. Always was. We always thought this way. I'm not talking about things that did poorly financially but got a larger audience, or did okay critically before getting a major boost in popularity later. I mean flat out despise things that were later hailed as great. I'm just like, why didn't we love these when they came out? I'm just saying, it's great that we all love the Star Wars prequels now. Why didn't we love them back when we were telling a child to kill himself? It especially sucks for people who are always fans of these things, getting backlash just for being into them, only for everyone to like it. Like, where are all you years ago? But as I said, this usually takes a couple of years. It takes time to go from 0 to 100. The one exception to this, from what I've seen, is Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. When this show was first announced, people despised it. The designs looked so off. Raph was the leader and is now missing his trademark size. It's going to be more comedy focused, bringing many a Teen Titans Go comparison. Splinter looks like this. And on top of it all, it was announced less than a year after the 2012 show ended. Everyone wrote this show off, which is among the reasons why it's so short-lived. I was also turned off by it initially, but I decided to watch it a little bit before it ended in 2020, and I enjoyed it. But I can see why it was overlooked. But now it's got a lot more love. So I gotta ask, what happened? Well, come with me. I struggle to think of more Turtles jokes I didn't make in my 2012 video, and I look over the fall of Rise. I probably stole a joke for someone. So unlike the 2012 show, which just kind of took Turtlepedia and uploaded it directly into a script, Rise has a different approach, only including around 10 classic characters, alongside a small handful of minor cameos. But not only are there a few legacy characters, the ones we got are now very different from how they were in previous versions. Granted, this isn't super out of nowhere that people make it out to be. Comic Baxter Stockman was a black man, but in the original show he was made white to avoid getting backlash for their only black character being a servant, then made a fly so they can sell toys. I love to see how people reacted to the reveal that 2003 Shredder was an alien, and even the 2012 show had a lot of changes, like making Rat King originally a scientist, or making Bebop and Rocksteady a musician and Russian respectively. But in fairness, Rise's changes are far more drastic and affect almost every character. The Turtles are the most obvious example. While the 2012 show tended to take the Turtles to their heights and be a reasonable exaggeration of their personalities, and also simp Donnie, this is, well, interesting. Raph is more or less the main character this time around, which I guess isn't too weird. In almost every version, he's always the second most important turtle, but instead of the cool but crude guy we all know, he's a lot more calm and a leader, as I said before. I actually really like this Raph. His interactions with the other turtles are great. I think he does a great job of anchoring the series. Not only is he the leader, he's also the heart. Also, snapping turtles. Like, top 3 coolest animals. All pieces of media would be better with snapping turtles. I do like the swap of using tonfas though. Nothing wrong with size, but it's more interesting than just another steady weapon. I remember seeing a post on how every turtle's weapon was supposed to bring out a weakness of themselves that they had to work around, and for Raph, he was given a defensive weapon to counter his overly aggressive attitude. And of course he works around this by stabbing people to death. Tonfas are better use of this idea. Granted this doesn't work since he's no longer rude, but shut up. This is hands down my favorite Leo though. I always felt like, no matter the version, Leo was the weakest turtle. I never disliked him, but he's always had less going on than his brothers. Here though, free from the shackles of leader, he gets the ability to be an absolute goober. I was super worried with what they were going to do with him, but I love this Leo. Oh, I forgot to mention that all the turtles get new weapons. Leo's portal sword are the coolest, an option debate. He becomes a leader in the movie, but I'm going to save my thoughts for the film until the end. Just like how it's universally accepted that 2012 has the best Splinter, almost everyone agrees Rise has the best Donnie. He's usually my second favorite turtle, but he's hands down my favorite character in the show. He's the most cocky of the turtles, but also just absolutely insane. But also has a more deadpan sense of humor, and his tech here is insane. I love how varied all of his stuff is. Despite the more magic focus of the series, he's managed to make some great stuff, including his own shell because he's a soft shell turtle this time. Also, his official art has no eyebrows, and that's cursed. Oh, I gotta mention that he was canonically confirmed as autistic around a month or 2 after I made my video saying animation has very little autistic rep. Is this the power of ultra instinct? I could go into that, but that's a topic too big for here. Oh, Mikey is cool, I guess. Listen, I will forever be a Mikey fan. As long as he isn't hitting on April, he's always my favorite turtle. And I do like him here, don't get me wrong. But he's definitely the weakest of the 4. While funny, he tends to be more of someone for the others to work off than be his own character. He's still funny and has a handful of great moments though, so I do still quite like him, but he is the weakest of the 4 to me. Oh, since I don't see many people bringing it up, this version of Mikey was actually confirmed to have ADHD, as was 2012's Mikey. In my 2012 video, I said that had my favorite April, but rewatching Rise made me correct that. This is my favorite April. She's got a great relationship with all the turtles, and surprisingly enough Splinter. I love her spunk, I think it's fun that she just knows the turtles from the get-go, and they actually brought back her being a reporter, just now for the school news. Honestly, this of all characters seems to be the most natural evolution for them all. And no, I don't care how she's black now. All April needs to be is a human friend to the turtles. Her race to me does not matter. You know how I show memes whenever I can't think of a joke? Well, in the 2012 video, I looked up April memes. And they're literally just like this one frame from the old show, or like a lot of pregnancy jokes, because that was a huge thing in the early 2010s, and just flat out racism. I can't win. If you're fine with Bebop going from being a black man mutation to Seth Rogen, then you should be fine with this. What I wasn't fine with was Splinter. Now I must stress, I did warm up to him as the show went on. But when I started, I kinda hated him. He was annoying. He was nothing like any previous version. He was really rude to the turtles. He was like Danny DeVito. Okay, so there was some good to him. Yeah, he wasn't for me. But looking at his backstory, and gosh dang it, I love this little guy. Going from a useless couch potato to slowly getting his backstory, which we'll talk about soon, to him becoming more active in the series, gosh dang it, they really won me over with this sentient lump of fat. Also, this line touches the dumb part of my brain.
Yeah, sure, you're a rat, and it probably would have been cooler if you were a tiger or something.
I understand this! So I think out of any changed character, making Shredder a demon honestly works the best. He's had weird demonic stuff before, and like, come on guys, it's Shredder. I don't care what version he is, I let him have my children. I do love how they treat him dead seriously. I'll get more into the action soon, but every single scene he's in is pure eye candy. Also, since I just mentioned dumb voice actor trivia stuff, he's voiced by Hoon Lee, who voiced Splinter in the previous show. Cassandra Jones was done so dirty by this show's cancellation. I love that she has the most bat-fricking insane animation of all time. Like, I swear she's animated on ones. I love her slow arc of slowly being accepted by Splinter and the Turtles, causing her to change sides. But sadly, she just didn't get enough time to shine. We even found out she was Casey until the final 5 minutes. Still, for what she did do, I love her. She has no chill. She's great. I don't have a lot to say about the other returning characters. Actually, Stockboy was a weird character who I feel like was only made for the Stockboy pun, and overall was really underused. Krang and Movie Casey I'll get to when I talk about the film segment, and Cry I really loved what they did with her, and she's great, even if she only appears for like 5 minutes. And there's no incest this time, it's great! Okay, so I think it's all returning characters, right? Wrong. There's one more. What character is it? It's freaking Chris Bradford, the freaking Chuck Norris parody from 2012. Why on God's green earth could you bring back any character? Did you bring back the one character the very creators hated? Anyways, we also got a lot of new characters. And while I love all of them, and hope I continue hearing more turtle stuff, I don't have much to say about most. I knew you guys wanted my heartfelt detailing on Freddy Fazbear, or Flapjack Capybara, but I just got nothing. I like that all the new villains are animals that weren't mutants in the previous shows though. And all the new villains are super fun. I should give special mention to War and Hypno though. They are gay. This is not a joke. They literally do the whole he's my roommate but not really thing. The biggest male same-sex couple in any of the big 3 TV animation companies is an Australian hippo and a newscaster worm. I don't know how to feel about that. But the big two are Baron Draxum and Big Mama. Draxum is the main villain in the first season, and he is great. I love his design, I love how he connects to Splinter's backstory. His design without the armor makes a lot of people say some very unholy things. He's great. He's a great way to introduce the more magic focus of the show, both in his power set and his goal to make yokai reign, instead of the standard mutant focus. Also, in the first season, he was voiced by John Cena, but in the second, he was voiced by Roger Craig Smith. I kept looking for why this swap happened, but it seems like Cena was just busy, probably giving all of his effort to voicing the polar bear from Dolittle. Finally, Big Mama. She's kind of a mafia owner who runs a tournament fight beneath a city. She really helps the more stylish look of the series. I love deal makers, especially ones who keep their words, but play with it a bit to get their own way. Also, she's not dealing with Splinter, like seemingly everyone else in this world. This is just Splinter's show. Anyway, she's the worst character because she turns into a spider. So I usually combine the writing animation segments, but with these being the biggest both good and bad points of the show, depending on who you ask, it makes sense to separate them. The show tries to blend Western animation styles and anime, and I think they do it greatly. The sharp frames and poses everyone makes does great to visually get you to understand these characters. On top of having a general style I've never seen in a cartoon when it comes to color and lighting. Everything is just so fluid, I genuinely think this might be my favorite animation in any show I've seen. Like, Jesus, how have I not mentioned the fight scenes yet? All the criticism is null. This show could kill my wife, I'd be fine with it. I'd also be very confused since I'm not married. But that wasn't what put people off. It's the character designs. I'll admit, I had to warm up to them. From the beefy look of Raph, to the gangly look of the other 3 turtles, to Donnie's weird Galactus helmet and droid shell, to Dollar Store Shifu. Yes, it looks weird. The designs actually do a good job at both separating it from the other shows and actually giving some insight on personalities. The turtles all have different species this time, and they all have traits that relate to said species. Snapping turtles are the biggest and strongest. Soft shells have, well, soft shells they need to protect. Red-edged snappers have showy markings that make them stand out. Box turtles are small and tend to avoid conflict, but are very popular pets, and so on. But once you accept this is a different version, I got over it. Again, this is very intentionally a different version of the series. So I think it's better that they went freaking insane with the designs of every single character instead of keeping them normal. While the animation can be choppy, I think it's covered up by the action when you need to focus on the visuals, and the writing and characters when you don't. And the visuals gave us Pickle Mikey. Funniest thing I've ever seen. I usually cover individual episodes, but to not spoil anything, I'm just going to be very vague and do an overall look at the show's writing. Wow, don't spoil a show in your review. What a freaking novel concept. Wait, what, 7 tries? A lot of cartoons tend to be pushed aside nowadays if they aren't serialized. Rise starts more episodic, which does slowly get more story-based as it goes on, but does it warrant watching the early stuff to get to the plot? Yes and no. Hear me out. Now, I usually like episodic cartoons. Heck, I'm one of the 5 people who loves Amphibia Season 1, despite it being more slice-lifey. But I do think Rise can be kind of annoying. There is a bit of randomness, take some time for the turtles to come into their own, and I want to break Splinter's legs, use him as a golf club, with the ball being his eye, and the other eye still works, and it's forced to watch. But I think learning about his backstory and the turtles getting more depth kind of retroactively makes the earlier Rocky episodes worth it, in hindsight. Once the show finally finds its footing though, it never turns back. It's very consistently funny. They know how to pace out their humor, action, and genuinely good dramatic moments. Some episodes could have Raph dealing with his struggles of being a leader. Others could have Mikey slowly becoming friends with Draxum. Or April finding out that her friend isn't what she seems. Or Raph makes with a gang that share the voice actors of 3 of the turtles from the previous show. I get stronger with every single piece of dumb voice trivia I say. There's an episode where Splinter psychologically tortures the turtles with his supposedly dead pet fish. You see, mentally scarring children. There is a reason to love this Splinter. With that said, I do feel like the show was cut short before it could really get to its peak. That's not to say the final episode is bad. It's actually probably the best episode of the show. Well, 4 episodes, which means it's eligible for my top 30 Nick episode list. What are all the best episodes in Nick's shows, either TV movies or longer than 3 parts? Nick already only has 7 good shows. Now you're saying I can't even pick a few great episodes? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, when researching this video, I found out that the finale was actually rushed, as they planned for a 3rd season, but were told they had to wrap everything up. I didn't even notice. This was an amazing finale with moments for all the major characters. If they could put out such a banger with that bad of a hand, I could only imagine how great Season 3 would be. But we will never get it. Also, Santa isn't real. I usually save bonus material for the end, but because the film is important to my conclusion, I'm gonna cover it now. That means I'm gonna end with the conclusion, like a freaking normie. The Rise movie was stuck in development heck for a while, being delayed and rewritten, and eventually dropped on Netflix last year. This is what finally got the show the push it needed to get noticed. Unsurprisingly, it's when it ended. I absolutely adored this film when it came out. Everything about it seemed like the perfected version of the show. Looking back, there's some breaks in the armor. The Rise exclusive characters get shafted hard. Cassandra only makes a brief cameo, albeit an important one. Draxum is completely absent, and Big Mama only appears freaking dead. The Draxum thing especially annoys me. You can't just completely ignore such an important character. Heck, one who was part of the Turtles crew by the end of the series. This was made to be a more of a general TMNT film, so the more Rise-centric parts were toned down, but could have at least said he was with Cass. Also, it's a surprisingly more serious film than you might expect. Despite that, I still absolutely love this film. Yes, it's more serious than you might expect, but it's still got the humor you'd expect. And the dramatic parts are done greatly. Leo is the leader now, and I love his arc of trying to become more responsible. I do think Mikey and Donnie get kind of shafted here, which sadly applies to almost every Turtles movie. Please, for the love of God, break that trend, Mutant Mayhem. But they do both get their own moments to shine, so I'm not too mad. I was mixed on Casey at first. Feels like a cop-out having this retool Casey Jones, only to then give us just basically the comic version as well. But I ended up really liking this Casey. He's a lot nicer than Casey usually is, and I love his friendship with Leo. The thing about Cassandra being his future mom is a cute detail that helps lessen the possible sting that he might have replaced her. The bump in budget is slight, but they absolutely make the best of it. The already gorgeous animation is even more beautiful. I want to make out passionately with his fight scene. The film brings in Krang, who were set up in the show proper, and I love Krang. He's probably the most consistently great character in the franchise. This might be his best version. Krang's always been a jokey character, even in his most serious roles, but this one does not pull any punches. Even without a suit, they stomp the turtles, and with them, a single flick stops the turtles' strongest attack. Them the suits is raw as frick. I love Rise of Krang so much. The best Turtles film until Mutant Mayhem absolutely crushes it. Because last time I checked, none of the other films than Mondo Gecko. One of the best movies based on a cartoon. The show's never coming back, yay! Rise is a great show. It has some of the most beautiful animation I've ever seen. The characters are great and far better fleshed out than you might first think. It's extremely funny, and most importantly, it's still Ninja Turtles. Look past the shell, and the gooey innards are what you know from the series. Focus on family, characters who are still themselves with a few new quirks, a variety of weird mutants and monsters that you can buy as toys, and the mixture of action, comedy, and weirdness that shouldn't work, but does. But it flopping isn't a shock. People were burnt out on the Turtles at the time, so you're not getting any casual viewers or even casual Turtles fans. And the fact that it takes so long to finally get its footing, and actually doesn't even resemble TMNT, unless that being announced before 2012's body went cold, put off a lot of longtime Turtles fans. Not to mention some other outside stuff, like Nick freaking up everything, including freaking up the toy releases. Is this a great show? Oh, of course. But it's very easy to understand why I got no attention until after the movie. Turtle oversaturation, or turtle saturation, I think is the biggest reason why. It's what killed the series in the 90s when they stuck these 4-colored masks onto literally anything that could be sold. Then again when Nick came full force with the 2012 show and the Bay films and a bunch of other things. Now we possibly have another oversaturation happening with Mutant Mayhem, a series tying into it, a couple games, and the Rise movie. I'm worried that, just like Rise before it, whatever the inevitable next Turtles show is kinda doomed. Maybe though, the complete 180 to Rise had in popularity, give it the push it needs. It's turtly epic! I'm never covering Ninja Turtles again. If you want a video on 2003, watch J Review's retrospective, and if you want a video on the 87 show, Cope. And that's it for me. I'm going back to my shell now. Peace.
Oh sure, let me just load my Tap into Every Security Camera in New York app. I'm sorry if that sounded like sarcasm, it wasn't, I am in.